Coming up on the WAC podcast, we're on location in Payson, Arizona at the Rim Golf Course side of the Women's Golf Championship. Filling in as our guest host today will be Jess Radford, who's also here in Payson, Arizona, because Kendra Sheehan is at the WAC Tennis Championships currently going on in Harlingen, Texas. So we are officially in championship season. Baseball and softball, a lot of WAC wins to talk about. And we have head coach Rob Bennett of the women's golf program at Abilene Christian, first year, and they're the number 2 ranked team in the conference. That's all ahead on the WAC podcast. Welcome to the WAC podcast. Eric Daner along with Jess Radford. Beautiful view here in Payson, Arizona. Not terribly far from Phoenix, about an hour, 2 hours from Phoenix, but a little different weather maybe than people think of when they think of Arizona. We're at 5,000 feet. You see the mountains. We saw some elk yesterday.
Yes. Very big elk, by the way.
Right.
Some was walking around, some was sleeping. Were they not scared to get hit by golf balls? Who knows?
I don't know. I had a chance to talk to Coach Bennett, who was out on the course walking around yesterday. He said he saw about 50, 60 elk out there.
Oh,
So
wow.
there are a lot. But what a beautiful place for the Women's Golf Championship. I know your first time to the WAC Golf Championship. What are your initial thoughts?
Yes, first time for women's golf, first time in Arizona, period. And I actually really, really like it. So this might be one of my destinations to live in when I'm older, when I'm old and gray, like you.
Thank you for that. We we are here at the Golf Championship, and the practice rounds are today as we shoot this on Thursday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday will be the tournament. Teeing things off, the top 2 teams in the league so far by the scoring system are Grand Canyon and Abilene Christian.
Yes, so we go by clipped, and that's, our golf rankings for, the entire NCAA. So Grand Canyon is our number 1. Abilene, as we keep saying, first year program, they're number 2. Slotted in at number 3 is Seattle U. Number 4 is California Baptist. And then number 5, UTA rounds it out, in which they jumped up based on their past performance. I think they were in the Oral Roberts Classic last week, and their showing in that made them above Utah Valley. So they were able to get that top 5 spot.
The last team from this group to win a WAC championship was back in 2018 with Grand Canyon. Also in 2019, Seattle U tied for the championship, and then New Mexico State won out in a playoff there. So those are always a couple of teams doing well. And as you mentioned, Abilene Christian is a team to watch out for this week here in Payson, Arizona. As we move on to tennis, the championships also going on in Harlingen, Texas, as we record this. The matches have already started. In fact, UTRGV defeated Seattle U in the first match on the men's side. But as far as that goes, on the men's side, UTA, the top ranked team, and they're the defending champions.
Yes, and then they also have, WAC Men's Player of the Year, John Torres Espinoza on their team. So I'm pretty sure they'll be looking for him to hold down the fort.
And Diego Benitez, who we had on the show last week, gets the WAC Men's Coach of the Year award. On the women's side, Natasha Puza is the Women's Tennis Player of the Year. She is a 5th year at GCU. She has played all 5 years there.
Mhm.
So and she is this is her second time being named WAC Player of the Year. Last time was back in 2021. So it's been been a minute before since she got that award. But always has been a first team all conference performer, as GCU is the top ranked women's team.
Yes, and good for Natasha. Way to end it. WAC Player of the Year. Oh, that's good for her.
So GCU, the top seed on the women's side, number 2 is Tarleton. Number 3 is UT Arlington, and number 4, Seattle U. So they play all their quarterfinal matches on Thursday. Semifinals will be Friday, and then the championships on Saturday, and those will be live on ESPN Plus.
Yes.
On Tuesday night, we had a big night of WAC action in baseball and softball, as we saw 5 teams defeat Power 5 schools, I guess Power 4, Power 5, whatever they are now,
Mhm.
including Grand Canyon. You might say a double whack because they beat Arizona, the number 21 ranked team in the country, 5-4.
Yes, number 21. And then to have a close game like that, 5-4, I'm pretty sure they were so happy to close that out. And then that's just good for Grand Canyon. You always want to beat, top 25 ranked teams, and it's always good to just Power 4, Power 5 like you said, whatever we're calling them. It's so good for our teams and their RPI rankings. So, we love to look out for those WAC wins.
UTRGV baseball, who right now is on the bubble to make the WAC tournament. One of the biggest wins they've had, maybe ever, over Texas, 17-9, first win over the Longhorns in more than 50 years.
Woo! That's crazy. And if this doesn't start a momentum streak for them to get into this tournament, I'm looking out for it. I'm expecting it. So UTRGV baseball, Jess is expecting you to go on a run after this because this is a big time win. If you don't have just such good energy and just confidence in yourself after you beat Texas, and the score is actually crazy, 17-9. So big momentum for them.
And they were up 15-1 at one point during that game, so they dominated from start to finish. There was an inning or two there where it was starting to get a little worrisome for maybe the Vaqueros because the Longhorns started hitting the baseball, but they win that one 17-9. GCU on the same night they beat Arizona, and it was also at home, so they had baseball and softball going on at the same time. The softball team beating Arizona State 5-4.
Yeah, so they competed against them earlier this year and they lost that one. So then it's been more than 21 years that they've had Arizona State play at their home field. So I think it was, just good to finally have that road win, especially, over a Power 5 school, and just to have go out this season 1-1. You lost one, but you also, won one. And I think, I was reading their press release and coach was just saying, we didn't really have our what am I trying to say? Not momentum, but just that confidence or just togetherness, probably as a team when they competed against them earlier in the season. But now they're gelling as a team. They're gelling. They're on a 12 out of 13 game winning streak.
Yeah, they're
recently.
hot.
Yeah, they're hot.
Yep.
So to get this win over Arizona State, I think that's just reaffirming them that they're a really good team.
Abilene Christian baseball beating TCU 8-3, and Abilene Christian kind of quietly one of the better teams in the WAC this year. We had Rick McCarty on the WAC podcast a few weeks ago, so they get a big win over TCU. They've lost a couple of games now to the WAC this year on those Tuesday night games. And then UTA softball went down to Waco and they beat Baylor 4-3
on the road. In Waco, like what do we say, Wacko?
The capital WAC.
Yes.
Picked up on that.
I was like, ooh, ED wordplay.
So the softball tournament's just a few weeks away now. It'll be in Seattle, hosted by Seattle U. You mentioned Grand Canyon, the team to beat right now, 15-2. They're on a 4-game win streak, but kind of sorting things out below them. And keep in mind, you want to be in that top 4, especially because you have the single elimination 5 through 8 that very first day. So if you're in the top 4, you're guaranteed to basically be in that double elimination tournament. And right now, CBU at 10-5, CLU 10-7, Utah Valley 9-7, but then UT Arlington, Utah Tech. There's a lot of positions to be sorted out in the next few weeks here.
A lot of teams on the cusp, and I feel like we're always in those situations when you only have 8 teams going in. So I always think it's funny how it shapes up towards the last weekend of conference play because I feel like that one is always the determining factor of whether that's 3 or 4 teams we're still trying to decide on who makes it into the tournament. You did mention that Grand Canyon's on a 4-game winning streak, but that's overall. In conference, they're on an 11-game winning streak within conference. So they're just trucking along for sure. And of course, they still have some games to play. We have 3 weeks left, which it probably doesn't seem like it, and it'll probably be here so fast. But I think they're going to get Southern Utah this weekend. They have Abilene Christian coming up. So, those are some teams that's on that cusp and is trying to, get in the tournament. So we'll see.
Seattle U at California Baptist, that's a real big one this upcoming weekend. Utah Valley hosts Stephen F. Austin, Abilene Christian against UT Arlington, Tarleton hosting Utah Tech. So there is, and of course, a lot of those, you got the doubleheader and then the single game. So that is going to be a very exciting weekend. Baseball, we're a little further out, but it's next month. So we're like 6 weeks away now from the WAC baseball tournament, which will be at Hohokam Stadium in Mesa, Arizona, the spring training facility of the Oakland A's, soon to be the Sacramento A's, and perhaps the Las Vegas A's coming up in the next few years. Grand Canyon and California Baptist are on top here at 11-4. The Lancers, winners of 5 in a row in baseball. They beat UNLV the other night. They will be hosting, or I'm sorry, they're traveling to Abilene Christian, who is right below them in the standings at 10-5. So if you're going to circle one of the matchups to watch this week, it's definitely CBU traveling to ACU this week.
Oh yes, and Utah Valley's up there too is 10-5. Matching up with Abilene. Oh, this is going to be down to the wire for sure. These.
In Utah Valley, they will be, hosting UT Arlington, who's 10-8. Tarleton also at 10-8, and they will be playing against UTRGV, who we just said beat Texas earlier this week. So that will be in Stephenville. Sacramento State now 9-9. They're traditionally one of the top teams in the WAC when it comes to baseball. So again, a lot to be sorted out, but a very exciting time of the year in spring sports.
Yes.
Don't want to forget track and field. Their championships also only a couple weeks away. Those will be in Orem, Utah, and that will also be live on ESPN Plus, as we're excited to bring you that coverage. Coming up next, we're going to talk with the women's golf coach at Abilene Christian first year program. Their head coach is Rob Bennett. We'll talk to him next on the WAC podcast.
University Credit Union has been serving students, employees, and alumni of the university community for more than 70 years. We've got plenty of moves that benefit our members, like the lowest loan rates in the nation guarantee, educational resources, personalized savings and investing advice, and 24/7 online and mobile banking. Plus, our virtual assistant, Royce, is always happy to deliver an assist. University Credit Union, the winning choice. Learn more and join today at ucu.org.
Welcome back to the WAC podcast. Eric Danner now with Rob Bennett, the head women's golf coach at Abilene Christian University. The Wildcats come in as, I guess, the number 2 seed in this tournament, coach. And this is the first year ACU has had a women's golf program. So to be competitive right out of the box, I guess, take me through what exactly happened from the time you announced that you're the head coach to now, where here you are, potentially competing for a WAC championship.
Yeah, a lot has happened between then and now. I was at ACU for 3 years prior as a men's assistant, went to the University of Louisville for a year to be the assistant women's coach. And then when ACU said we're starting women's golf, they asked me an interview. I did that, went through the process, and thankfully they liked me enough to bring me back. And it's been a whirlwind since then. I think one of the cool things through the whole process was I had the opportunity to think about what are the things that are important to me within a golf program and things at ACU, what we're trying to accomplish. ACU believes in excellence, and so winning championships is our goal. It's hard to do that, but we knew that with the right formula and with the right approach, we could have a chance to come in and do things like be the number 2 seed, and we think we've got a chance this week. So set out some markers of things I wanted to do within recruiting. Brought in some really talented freshmen. We've got 3, and then brought in 4 transfers. Really, one is not a transfer. She was at ACU already and came to me and last fall, I guess, and said, "Hey, I'd like to be part of the team." I said, "Sure, let's do it." And she's been awesome. She's not here this week, but she's been an awesome leader for us. So sometimes also you get lucky. We got lucky in recruiting. There's a player that I actually recruited to Louisville, and she's from an hour away from Abilene. And she decided after her freshman year to transfer, and she gave me a shout and said, "Hey, I think maybe I want to come and be a Wildcat." And so that was really cool. That's Ryan Honey. Delaney Martin's boyfriend transferred from University of Houston to play football at ACU, and she came along, And so when she went in the portal, I was like, well, this works. And I didn't know the connection. And she said, "Oh yeah, my boyfriend plays football at ACU." I was like, okay, I feel like we got it. And then Sydney Williams came from a Division II school in Arkansas, and she's been great as well as a leader. And just throughout her time in college, she won at Arkansas Fort Smith as an individual, and has shown improvement year after year. She was a little bit of a late bloomer, and so we're getting, I think, her best golf now, and it's even getting better. So a lot has happened, and honestly, some of it's been luck, but I think the system we've got in place, the biggest thing I was looking at, good golfers is a no-brainer. It's a given. But the thing even above that was I wanted girls that were fun to be around, and they all are. We have so much fun. We laugh, we joke around, and we play good golf. I think all those things go together hand in hand for sure.
And then from your time there as a men's assistant, you obviously knew the lay of the land. And people who haven't been to Abilene, it's a golfing hotbed, so it seemed natural to start up a women's program.
Yeah, the weather in Abilene's really good. A lot of people don't realize we have the same number of days of sunshine as San Diego and Miami. and we're in, West Texas. And so they're like, well, where's Abilene? It's 2 hours west of Fort Worth, in case anyone's wondering.
Right.
We don't get a lot of rain. We're at 17 feet, 1,700 foot of elevation. So it's not quite deserty, but it's a little almost more like New Mexico climate than you would think of like a Dallas or certainly a Houston that's, right on the water and super humid. Humidity is low. So being out here in Arizona is not too dissimilar to what the weather we're used to. It's warm and we have a lot of cloudless days, and so having great weather. We have a phenomenal practice facility, one of the best in the country on campus. Those things for me, it was easy to come back because I love ACU, but I knew we weren't starting at ground zero, and it allowed us, I think, to bring in good recruits and be able to compete in year one.
You mentioned Ryan Honey, and she's had an outstanding season transferring from Louisville, where you were as well, and being what she's from San Angelo, I believe.
Correct.
So not too far
Yeah.
away. Being able to land a player of that caliber, I got to imagine, kind of elevates the entire program, and maybe not only for this year but for years to come.
Definitely. I think players see that we're a legitimate alternative to a Power 5 school or Power 4 or whatever it's going to
Right.
be in. Um, we have a program that we believe can be a top 50 program in the country. We're not there yet. We're in year one, but we've done a lot of things that people didn't think we could do. And we wear that as a badge of honor. We really do. We take it to heart, and we want to prove people wrong. So having Ryan come in, having Delaney come from Houston, which is now in the Big 12, I think that legitimizes our program immediately. Whether it should or not is another thing, but it does. And I think the fact that they've come in and been our best two players has been huge. We also got, I mentioned earlier, some great freshmen. Having Kate Pickrell come in, who is a Texas Junior Amateur Champion, and those players generally go to the big schools in Texas or maybe out of state, but they're going to be Power 5 players. She chose us because she liked the idea of starting something new and making history and being part of the first program at ACU. I had recruits, our 24 class. We've got 3 great 24s coming in. They all 3 said we knew if Kate and then Ji Han, who's also from Austin, like Kate, they said if they considered ACU, we knew that maybe we should too. They came in, they loved it, and they committed. So, yes, having players come in that have some clout behind them certainly has helped our program immensely this early on.
You mentioned the altitude in Abilene a little different than Dallas or Houston. Here we are in Payson, Arizona. People think Arizona, they think flat desert. We're here at 5,000 feet. We see trees, we see elk, we see mountains. How is this going to change maybe from other courses that you played this year?
Well, certainly we've got to take into account how the ball is going to fly at altitude. We've got TrackMan and GC Quad at our facility, so we were on that this past week and getting our yardages dialed in. We'll see that today more in the practice round, kind of how that ball flies a little bit different. I think this golf course is not, even though the scenery is much different. We're in the mountains. It's very beautiful, tall pine trees. It's not that much different than some of the courses we've played this year in terms of our strategy. I think it's picking good lines and hitting it there. The ball flight will look different because of the backdrop, but where the ball goes isn't any different. And the name of the game is get in the hole. I think we do that really well, and I'm excited to see how we do this week.
And also this spring, I saw your team has won a couple of tournaments. You're in Panama City, Florida, won a tournament there. You won, I believe, at Oral Roberts as well.
Correct.
What did it take to win, when you have 14, 15 teams you're competing against?
Well, it's having good strategy. I think that's going to be the key to this week as well, is stick to the strategy. And we won a couple tournaments in the fall, or won our very first event ever in program history, which was really cool. Tied for first in our last one, and then won a couple times in the spring. Finished first or second in 7 out of 10 events this year. We've had a lot of success, but that success isn't just because we've got talented golfers, although that is needed. It's because we've had a game plan and we've stuck to that game plan. When we play our best, we don't have to think about, well, what should I do here? It's already been determined. And so that's been a huge help, especially this spring, saying, hey, on this hole, we're going to hit this club to that spot, and then we're going to hit a good iron shot or wedge shot in and give ourselves hopefully a look at birdie. I think for this week, that's going to be the key, and it's been the key all spring.
Have you had a chance to compete against any of these other WAC schools? Obviously, we're all over the West and in Texas. Have you seen them, and what do you anticipate it'll be like? I think you're paired up with Grand Canyon for the very first day.
Yeah, we I think we've seen every team except Seattle, Cal Baptist, and then maybe Utah Tech, and that might be it. Maybe Southern Utah. I don't remember exactly who we've not seen, but at least half the teams we've
Mhm.
seen. Um, Grand Canyon we did see in what happened to be our worst tournament of the spring. We finished fifth, which doesn't sound that bad, but when you're finishing first or second every week, fifth kind of hurts. They won that tournament and they beat us by more than I'd like to say. And so I think this week, first of all, I don't think we played our best that week, and I'm not sure if they did or not either. But what that tells me is we've got some work to do this week. Grand Canyon's a great team. We know that to beat them, we're going to have to stick to our game plan and, then, of course, execute it very well. We're excited. I'm so glad we were the 2 seed. Seattle was really close to us because they played great last week and moved up in the rankings. But to be able to play in a twosome tomorrow in the first round with Grand Canyon is going to be huge. So I'm excited about that. Really looking forward to seeing how we match up against them.
Awesome, Coach. Well, good luck to you. I know you're going to get out on the practice round today and start off tomorrow at noon. And people can follow that on all of our WAC social media channels. So good luck. That's Rob Bennett, head coach at Abilene Christian for their women's golf program. Thanks for listening to the WAC podcast.
Thanks for listening to the WAC podcast. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And check out our website at wacsports.com.